Hey everybody, this is Zach Johnson, and I'll have my mother here, Stefanie Johnson. This is video 2 in our client transformation series. Today we're going to be talking about more than a decade of training in nutrition we have done with this lady and how everything has changed and where we're at now and where we're going to go. It's kind of crazy to think it's been somewhere between 10 and 12 years been helping her with training and nutrition. So we're going to talk about the starting point, everything that we did in the beginning, but we're going to specifically focus on the last 3 years of data that we have on her. So she's going to start by kind of telling us about the starting point 10, 12 years ago, and then what made her decide to get started.
Well, what made me decide to get started was summer was coming, and I was starting to try on my shorts, my summer clothes, and nothing fit. So I was in a 10-12, and I was going to have to buy all new clothes for the summer, and I was just like, I'm not doing this. So Zach had been trying to get me to start eating healthier, and I had just gone to the doctor for a physical. My cholesterol was up again. I was already on medicine for that, and so he was thinking of changing it, and he, pretty much, I had talked to him about my son was wanting to help me eat healthy. Can I try that first? And he was like, no, you can't do it. You're not going to do it, so we're just going to change your medicine. And so I said, no, I'm not going to do it yet. Came home, talked to Zach, and said, help me. And he did, and even brought me my meals for a couple of days until I really got in the routine of getting started and meal prep and all that.
So you were in a size 10, 12, fixing to have to be a 14. What size are you now?
I'm a 4.
You're a size 4. And the really cool thing about this and to really remember here is she got down and has been a size 4 for 10 years, okay? So most Americans can't even stop themselves from gaining a pound a year and maintain. She got the weight off, maintained it for 10 years, okay? So that is the goal of everybody, is to get to a goal and then maintain it. So we're going to talk about some of those strategies we've done for maintenance later on. But a couple things I want to talk about first. When she first started, she tried to do it all with diet. It didn't work. She tried to do it all with training. It didn't work. One piece at a time. Then she tried to do it all with cardio. It didn't work. Nothing worked until we put all 3 pieces together, and then she was able to lose the weight, get it off, keep it off. So that's, if you take anything away from this, is you can't have a 1-legged or a 2-legged bar stool. You have to have 3 or more legs for that bar stool to stay up. There's pieces to it, and you have to put all the pieces together and find your recipe, okay? So if we look at the last 3 years, what we've been doing is her body weight, okay? So at her highest, her body weight was 160 pounds, okay? Now she fluctuates between 126 and 130, okay? So it's 33 pounds of weight loss, all right? Another thing, her waist size over the last 3 years has stayed the same. It hasn't moved, okay? So she's maintained the body weight, she's maintained the waist size, all right? And we have not gone over 130 pounds in the last 3 years, okay? So her body has created a new set point and gotten very comfortable being there, okay? So last 3 years, kind of here's what we've gone over, okay? So 2016, we were, let's see, All right, 2016, we were just over 130 pounds, okay? And we wanted to get leaner, okay? So we made one big push in 2016, got below 130 pounds, and she was able to maintain that for a year. But in 2016, we were making a lot of dietary changes, okay? So 1 minute with her lifestyle and job and training and everything, it would work, and the next thing you know, she just wasn't able to control appetite and cravings, and the weight would shoot back up. So it fluctuated a lot, wasn't really happy with that, okay? So fast forward to the end of 2016, we made some changes in terms of carbohydrates, okay? I had figured out for myself that my body did very well on low carb, no carb. It kind of inspired her. She wanted to try that as well. We have the same genetics. Obviously, she's my mother, and she responded very, very well to low carb, no carb as well, okay? So the rest of 2016, 2017, She got incredibly lean, all-time low body weight, went as low as 121 pounds, okay? And it was easy. She wasn't having to do any cardio. It was all through diet and through training, okay? So through 2017, we hit an all-time low weight and leanness, and that set us up for 2018, okay? At this point, dieting is incredibly easy. She is intuitively eating, kind of doing, sort of whatever she wanted to on the weekends. Monday through Friday was, let's call it strict. It was we had a plan, and then on the weekend, she essentially ate whatever she wanted to, okay? In 2018, we again hit a new all-time low, okay? And then we were able to maintain that for the rest of 2018 and the entirety of 2019, okay? So before 2018 and hitting that all-time low, her body fat would tend to trickle back up at times, and then it would come down. It would go up and it would come down. From figuring out that her body did better with low carb and making that ultra hard push, taking her to 121 pounds, new level of leanness that she had never been, allowed her body to create a new set point and adjust, and it didn't go back up after that. So 2018, 2019, that was really the turning point of her finding maintenance and finding something that was sustainable forever. She wasn't yo-yo dieting. She wasn't going back and forth. We weren't doing hours of cardio. She had really gotten to a point where we had pushed the leanness, created a new set point, and now it's very easy for her to maintain that. Okay, so what we're going to kind of talk about now is more in depth with the food and kind of some challenges and obstacles we had to overcome with that. But what I want her to talk about now is I want you to tell everybody about what we did with the sort of flexible eating, the very low carb, no carb Monday through Friday, and then what you were able to do on the weekend and what that meant for you in terms of sustainability.
Well, it gave me some freedom on the weekend. And what surprised me was that I could go and not every single meal on the weekend eat whatever I wanted to, but at least maybe lunch and dinner for a meal, and then come right back on Monday, enjoy myself for the weekend, come right back on Monday, go back to my meal plan for the week, and not gain any weight. So I felt that freedom to eat the way I wanted to on the weekend.
So, do you think that would have worked if you hadn't have made those big pushes and gotten leaner in the beginning?
No.
Right, and that's a common mistake people make when they first start dieting and working out. They go to the gym the first week in January, they lose 2 pounds, and they're like, yes, time for pizza and beer. And they've not given their body a chance to adjust, and then they gain the weight back. Usually it's more, and you have this vicious cycle of this false sense of self-reward, and you really haven't done any work. You haven't achieved anything, and you haven't given your body a chance to adjust to what's going on. So don't confuse what we're talking about with flexible dieting, where she was at and somebody who's just getting started. She lost the 33 pounds, kept the 33 pounds off, and then was able to implement some flexible dieting in like that. So we do utilize cheat meals and refeeds and things like that to switch it up with the metabolism, but she was not in the midst of losing 33 pounds and doing these free weekends. She had already lost the 33 pounds and was keeping it off, and then we were able to implement that, okay? Talk to us a little bit about your low carb, no carb experience with ketogenic diet and things like that. What has that been for you, and how do you feel about that?
Well, it was great. I was ready for a change. I would have never thought that I could eat some of the things that I ate, the cheese, the bacon, the stuff that I had cut out, and decrease my body fat even more. I enjoyed it. It worked well for me. Lots of people, when they hear about the ketogenics, and they found out that I was going on it, they were like, what are you doing? You had high cholesterol. You have high cholesterol. But it just allowed me that freedom to eat something. And my body had gotten to where I wasn't getting any results.
Yeah, she's just kind of stuck and stagnant.
Right. Yeah.
And that we were having those crazy fluctuations of the body weight up, body weight down. So I had a tremendous amount of success with it, so she tried it and implemented it, and it worked incredibly well. Initially, you can have a little bit of a cholesterol increase, but over time that will come back down. And then all of our other blood markers were perfect, and they still are from doing it over 2 years now. Big mistake I think people make with this is they attempt to try keto. You can't try keto. You either do it or you don't. There's no such thing as keto-ish, okay? So we set up a plan for her. She implemented it. We used the electrolytes and the sodium to prevent any of the fatigue, the brain fog, the headache, things like that. Didn't have any incidents of that, transitioned into it perfectly. And then the body fat went to all-time low, weight went to an all-time low. And then occasionally we're able to put some carbohydrates back in kind of as needed to get a little bit of a boost in the gym, whether it's a strength phase or whatever. But she's so fat adapted now, she doesn't even need the carbohydrates. It's more of just if there's some at a social gathering or something like that, she kind of eats it as is. Recently, we have shifted the ratios of that to far higher protein and low fat, and that has allowed her to put 4 pounds of muscle on, keep that 4 pounds of muscle on, and keep the body fat off. I do believe that's been a big component to her strength being at an all-time high and the body fat being at an all-time low, increasing that protein drastically. So now her current eating strategy, every meal is predominantly protein. She prioritizes protein with every meal. Fat is in that lower ratio. 1 meal a day, she does choose to have some vegetables, and then the carbohydrates that she utilizes are totally intuitive. So after some hard days, the group classes that she participates in, she may or may not have some oats and blueberries, things like that, but we do use it in a backloading approach. She eats it in the evening so that it doesn't cause her to have any cravings throughout the day and cause her to overeat. And then if she has to teach a class in the morning or does an early morning workout, those carbohydrates are in the muscle for that. She burns it up, boom, they're gone. And then her blood sugar stays incredibly stable that way, so she's not binge eating and having feeling like she's gonna gnaw her arm off consistently throughout the day because that blood sugar is so stable. So one thing that we want to talk about today is a change in your lifestyle, a change in your job, and how do you adapt your training and your diet to that. So one thing that we've kind of run into is now that she's got so many clients, still has her other job and then works at the gym as well. Her schedule is incredibly busy. We have found that she is eating more protein bars. So she's going to tell us a little bit now about that in terms of convenience and things like that. And then I'm going to tell you about some issues that we run into. Because I do find a lot of people run into these issues drinking a lot of protein shakes and protein bars and keto snacks and fat bombs and treats and all these healthy, low carb, calorie, the chips and the crackers and all this different stuff. So we're going to talk about that now. So tell us about your protein bar experience.
Well, they're convenient. A lot of them are very tasty now, but they do affect me almost immediately. I'm very bloated. I'm very gassy. And so, we were just talking. I've got to cut those back out. I feel much better. I don't have any of that bloated feeling or any of the other side effects from the protein bars. It's convenient, but you can definitely tell a difference when you're eating those.
So what we're running into, this has nothing to do with the scale or her body fat. It's a feeling. Mm-hmm. When you get bloated and your stomach hurts, it's uncomfortable. You're distracted by it. You're not productive. So a lot of these bars, particularly the Quest bar, has these very slow digesting fibers in them and causes some nasty reactions in the stomach, causes the bloat, causes the swelling. You don't feel good. So as much as she doesn't want to eliminate it for the convenience, it's one of those things. It's what is your return on investment? Yeah, you're saving some time, but you don't feel good. So we are trying to eliminate things that make people not feel well from their diet so that they can feel good. So she also tends to overdo fiber. If she overdoes fiber, she gets the same bloating, the same decrease in performance, doesn't feel good. So we're not pumping a cup of broccoli or a cup of asparagus with all of her meals. She literally only does 1 serving of vegetables a day, very little carbohydrates, and she runs optimally when she does that. When she tends to veer off of that for whatever reason, whether she's craving something or a social event or out of convenience, you can tell she doesn't feel good. It's very obvious every time. So with the carbohydrate backloading, how many times a week would you say you eat those carbohydrates at night?
My oatmeal and my blueberries.
Yes. Yeah.
I eat those every time I do phase 4. Every time I do the group training, have a hard workout.
Okay, so 3 to 4 nights a week?
Yes.
Okay.
It's probably been more like 3.
Okay. So
lately.
out of 7 days, she's only having that carbohydrate meal 3 to 4 days out of the week. The benefit to that is she's having a little bit better recovery, and then she has that energy in the muscle the next day for whatever's coming up next. So when would we utilize something like this? She's teaching more classes than she's ever taught, so energy output is higher, and she actually does a lot of the movements with the clients in the workout. So she's not just standing up at the front with a microphone pointing her finger. She's actually doing a lot of the movements simultaneously with everyone. She works 2 jobs, is constantly moving, incredibly active, so her output is very, very high. You have to earn your carbohydrates. If you're someone who sits at a desk all day and types, or you're sitting at a desk at school texting all day, you don't play sports, you're not active, you're not doing things, you haven't earned your carbohydrates. So that's the recipe for people to accumulate body fat and weight. They're putting in this energy source that they're not using, and they're usually taking that in with high amounts of fat as well. So you have 2 energy sources, you're not actually using energy. That's why people continue to gain weight. So she has dialed in perfectly the amount of energy that she needs coming in and what's going out, and we have matched the energy coming in with the energy going out. That's why for the last 3 years, her body weight has only fluctuated from 126 to 130, okay? All-time low body fat, and we've been able to maintain it within a few percentage points of that. So it did take some caloric restriction, and it did take a lot of expenditure to get her to that all-time low, but now maintaining it has been incredibly easy with far higher calories than what it took to get there, and she's able to maintain it, and we found what is sustainable. So now, let me ask you, what is your current goal for 2020?
My current goal for 2020.
And I didn't prep her for this before this, so I wanted to see what, I wanted to put her on the spot with this question.
My current goal.
Fitness goal.
For myself.
For yourself.
Personally.
Yeah.
I don't know. To just get stronger. I feel the best that I've ever felt. I don't know. I just like pushing myself and seeing what I can do next.
Okay.
I love yoga. I love stretching. So I don't know. We'll just have to see.
Okay, so she wants to get stronger, but what we have to understand here, her output is continuing to increase, okay? So if she wants to get better at yoga, she wants to get stronger and continue to have a high output, and it will probably get higher the more and more busy that she gets here. If you work a full day as a trainer, you're going to get anywhere from 15 to 20,000 steps a day. So you're incredibly active, you're moving the weights. We will have to increase her calories to match that output, or things will start to go backwards, overtraining and things like that. So if her goal is to maintain where she's at now and get stronger, we will have to match the caloric intake with the output so that her body doesn't freak out and get stressed, okay? So if you had to pick one thing that was like a game changer for you in the last 10 years, you had to pinpoint something, what would that one thing be for your transformation?
In the last year?
No, the last 10 years. So what you did to lose the weight, keep the weight off, and where you're at now. What would you say is the most important thing if you had to pick one thing?
Wait a minute, ask me that again. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
if you had to pick one thing out of
The last
everything
10
that we've
years.
done, yeah, what would be the most important thing? Like if you could recommend something to somebody, what would be the most important thing you'd recommend?
Just the diet, getting your eating habits right, and realizing that you can do it. I used to think when I first started changing what I ate, and we didn't change that much in the beginning, I thought this is not going to make a difference. When I go back for my physical, nothing is going to have changed, and I was so wrong. So eliminating one thing can make a huge difference. Just Try it for 2 weeks, and then try it for 2 more weeks, and just believe in yourself that you can do it. You're worth it. Everybody's worth it. We've got to take care of our bodies.
Yeah, she hit the nail on the head. It is the diet. You cannot outwork a bad diet. It is impossible. You know, we see everybody with these Apple Watches and calorie trackers and things now, and I see 2 things. One thing I see are these people with these outrageous calorie burns in the amount of time that they're working out. And I see these people working out, and they're not working out. They're talking to their friends. They're adjusting songs on their playlist. They're resting. They're fixing their yoga pants. All this nonsense. They're not training hard. These people are not burning 1,000 calories in an hour. It's just not happening. It takes a tremendous amount of effort, and you have to have a base built up to be able to really do that. And then the second thing that I see are these people who they're frustrated because their number is so low. So then they're trying to do more and more and more and more to try to get their number to be high on their Apple Watch, okay? Let's just say the average person can burn 500 calories in an hour. You can go out of here and with one hamburger, without the fry, without the drink, with one hamburger, and get 800 to 1,200 calories easily, and you just doubled what you did in the workout. So you cannot outwork a bad diet. Sauces, liquid calories, drinks, all these different things, they add up, and people are spinning their wheels because they're eating more than they're burning. It's very simple. You cannot outwork a bad diet, and that, what she said was all about the diet, and you do have to trust yourself and give it a chance. You have to give it small incremental changes. Something I say all the time is do just enough to get results. Let's get you eating a reasonable amount of times per day. Then let's clean up the first meal. Let's clean up the second meal. Let's clean up the snacks. It's one thing at a time. Each of these things might be a 2-week period. We're not reinventing the wheel overnight. We could write you the best 7-meal plan a day, but if you don't have time to eat 7 meals a day, it's the worst plan for you. So we have to figure out something that's going to work with your lifestyle and your schedule. So that was with the diet. In terms of training and cardio, have you ever had to do an hour of cardio a day?
No, and that's what my doctor told me I would have to do if I came off of the cholesterol medicine to get it down. He said I would have to do an hour of cardio a day, and I have not ever done that.
Yeah. Have you ever done 30 minutes of cardio a day?
No.
Have you ever done 15 minutes of cardio a day?
No.
So everything that we have achieved with her has been through training and diet, okay? She does get some high intensity interval cardio within the group training workouts that we do. It's minimal. We're literally talking about 3 to 5 minutes, okay? So, you know, a lot of times I get clients, especially women, they love doing these long bouts of cardio. Their bodies are overworked, they're overstressed. We take them off the cardio, they instantly lose weight and get leaner. But then it's a mental thing for them, so then I have to talk them off the ledge, prove to them with the numbers, the tape measure and things like that, hey, this is working, doing less. Most people don't believe them. It's the common thought that if I want to lose weight, I have to do tremendous amounts of cardio. It's just not a fact. Now, if you're a competitive bodybuilder and you're trying to get ultra lean, single digit body fat, you may have to do higher amounts of HIIT and higher amounts of steady state cardio. But the average person who wants to be in really great shape and look good in a bathing suit year round, you know, everybody's different, but we will figure out the least amount of cardio possible for that person and match that with the diet and training so it's sustainable for your lifestyle and your goals, okay? Okay, so we've talked about cardio, we've talked about the diet. For you, I know when we first started, you were trying to do these little tiny dumbbells that you guys had at the home gym and really high repetitions. What do you think was the biggest difference from weight training once I got you away from doing that kind of stuff?
Ask me that again.
So what you were doing before was with the little small weights for very high repetitions, and then once we actually taught you how to train, what was the biggest difference?
I could see differences in my body. My body adapted to, I mean, it was all endurance with the smaller weights.
Right. So what did you transition into from endurance?
Strength.
Right. So we took, she had like 3 and 5 pound dumbbells for every movement. So once we got into a gym setting and started accumulated progressive overload, that's when our body really transformed, okay? You can't do 3 and 5 pound dumbbells forever. You have to do 8s and 10s and 15s. and you have to go through programming where you're going as heavy as you possibly can in these lower rep ranges, 3, 5, 8, things like that. So once we added that, and she became very strong. So she's deadlifted 275 pounds for reps before. She squatted 225 pounds, and she's even bench pressed 135 pounds. She weighs, right now today, she weighed 127 pounds. How tall are you?
5'2".
You're 5'2", so you're really short. She has a very small, petite frame. So she's moving weights that some guys can't do, okay? That is an integral part of her programming to allow her to maintain the lean muscle mass and maintain the low body fat year round. It's not cardio, it is the weight training. So part of my job is to talk people out of this mentality of I have to lift really lightweight for high repetitions to lose weight. And then with women particularly, they think they're gonna get big and bulky.
Right.
If they're lifting these heavy weights. I don't think anybody would describe Stefanie as big and bulky. So that tends to come from, if it's your goal to become big and bulky and build muscle, driving the protein, driving the calories, really going through a bulking phase. So that's never been her goal. We don't design programs like that. If you don't want to get big and bulky, chances are, even if you wanted to, you're gonna have, especially as a female, a really hard time doing that. You just don't have the hormones and the frame and the genetics and the structure to do it. Some do, some don't, most do not, okay? So weight training, minimal cardio, the only cardio that we do is HIIT, and then everything we've really dialed in. If we had to pick one thing that kind of stood over everything, it would be the nutrition. And then we put all those things together. That has led us to our current state. Okay, next question. Let me think what we want to talk about. What have you learned from training other people that has helped you with your diet, your training, your things like that?
What have I learned from training other people?
Something that might be relatable with your clients and yourself.
That has helped me.
Yeah. Like, here's an example. So for myself, tracking food with MyFitnessPal works for most people. I like a spreadsheet better, but I can't expect everybody to do a spreadsheet. So for me, working with my clients in MyFitnessPal, I learned a tremendous amount when I ditched the spreadsheet and started doing everything flexible dining if it fits my macros. For me, I learned more from diving into the client's world in that aspect. It helped me a lot being more flexible and not being so rigid, living out of the lunchbox all the time. But then it also, I forced myself to do that, I was then able to give the client better information as well.
I've got to think about this some more.
Okay. Let's see. What would you say is the biggest misconception a new client has when they come to the gym? What is something that you thought, maybe a misconception you had when you first got started? All right, guys, we had a little technical error, had a little storage problem, had to delete some videos and make some room. So really, the big thing for me working with Stefanie has been, we got the weight off and then find something sustainable. We found maintenance. But it wasn't this linear path. It didn't just happen overnight. And then, so several times we found things that we were gonna stick with, but then the body changes, lifestyle changes, things like that. So we had to adapt and overcome and just adjust. And that's where measurements, checking your body fat, using the tape measure, using the scale, using pictures really comes into play. And those are some of the things that have really allowed us to get her to where she is. The other thing was keeping an open mind, having an open mind, staying open-minded, trying new things. We were never set in this rut. One of the things I pride myself on as a trainer is being open-minded. If somebody comes to me and says, hey, I want to try this, can we do it? Well, hell yeah, we'll do the measurements. You try it for a couple of weeks. We'll see. We'll do the measurements again. If it's working, we'll keep doing it. If it's not, we'll scratch it off the list. It's very simple. And then I may come at a client with something like that. Like, hey, trust me, I want you to try this. So that's where the measurements come in. The numbers do not lie. What I want to emphasize with everybody is no matter what your starting point, whether you need to lose 33 pounds, whether you need to lose 50 pounds, 100 pounds, whatever it is, you have to do it in stages. You push a little bit, you pull back and maintain. You push a little bit, you pull back and maintain. And that's really what's going to allow you to have long-term success and sustainability. You don't want to try this straight downhill linear approach. That's where you end up hitting plateaus, you get burned out, you yo-yo back up and down. So with Stefanie, we really took that. And I look back, obviously she's my mother, so we take family vacations together. A lot of our pushes and cuts, push the weight up, cut the weight down, have coincided with family vacations going to the beach. And that's one approach I really like to structure people with, is divide the year up into 4 blocks. 2 of those blocks are increased calories, maintaining weight, maybe gaining a little bit of weight, and then the other 2 blocks of the year are cutting back, losing body fat, and coming down. So her and I have been able to kind of do that together, and we also both do very well with low carb, and we've followed this cyclical nature throughout the year. For most people, if your goal is not to be a competitive bodybuilder, that works very well, and I utilize that approach with everybody. I mean, really with everybody, is we go through these pushes and we go where we cut back. It's very successful. It gives the mind a break. It gives the body a break. It allows us to create these new set points, allow the body to adjust. So guys, I hope you've learned something great. Maybe you can relate to some of the things that Stefanie has. Maybe you picked up some good tips from this video. We do have a little editing to do this video. We have some technical errors. We're going to kind of piece everything back together the best we can. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me. If you would like to train with Stefanie, she is available for one-on-one sessions. I'm available for group sessions, distance coaching, online training, and things like that. If you're interested in a gym membership, we do have that as well. Message me, message her. We're available on a lot of different platforms. If you'd like to see something different, new, maybe you have questions, reach out to us and we'll try to get it in the next interview or in the next video, whatever it is, or the post. So stay tuned. Everybody have a great day.